The Philippines faces constant threats from Chinese vessels in the West Philippine Sea, and Filipinos accused of spying for China were recently captured. Good morning, I'm Attorney Jimeno, and this is At the Forefront. The Armed Forces of the Philippines faces various challenges coming from several fronts. There is a persistent conflict in the West Philippine Sea, and 3 Filipinos allegedly spying for China were recently captured and are now under the custody of the military. The ongoing Middle East crisis has also triggered a spike in fuel prices. How is the military coping with these challenges? To answer this and more, we'll be speaking with Rear Admiral Vincent Trinidad. He's the Navy spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea. Good morning, Rear Admiral Roy.
Good morning, Attorney Karen, and thank you for having me here in the show.
Let's talk about first yung nahuli po ng mga alleged spies for China. So, can you tell us how were they discovered as spies?
When the government, the Commander-in-Chief, gave guidance to shift from internal defense to external defense orientation, and the S&D mentioned CADC, Comprehensive Archipelagic Defense Concept, the AFP had to do a lot of reassessments. How could we protect the organization from within and from without, from all threats, foreign and domestic? So yung dati mga ginagawa natin to protect ourselves, document security, personal security, background checks, and everything, we had to review them and to enhance them. Thus was born the Insider Threat Program, or the ITP. The ITP is the sum of all efforts to protect the organization, and because of this, we were able to red flag certain individuals who were reporting, giving reports, information to the adversary. Ito yung tatlo na nailabas natin.
Okay. So, nung na-discover niyo po sila, paano niyo na-discover? Were they working within the armed forces? Or nakita niyo to through communications online? Can you give us an idea, at least, paano niyo na-discover na spy pala sila?
Without going into operational details. First and foremost, the ITP, we look at the totality of the individual. Yung kanyang lifestyle, yung kanyang patterns, yung kanyang reports, yung function niya sa office. If there's anything that is deviant from what is expected of him or her, like for example, lifestyle mo, entry level ka, you're earning approximately this amount, medyo galante ka sa office.
So isang naging red flag po yun?
Is that the only one? We cross-check, cross-reference this with other red flags until such time it would give us more reason to narrow down our search to certain individuals.
So they were working within the armed forces po?
Yes, with Navy headquarters, with the ND, and the third one had links to the Philippine Coast Guard. May mga kaibigan siya doon. And because of that, nalalaman niya mga usapan, nakapasok siya sa group chat, eventually sa emails, official emails. So this is also giving us reason to enhance the way we're doing things right now. Bagamat the ITP is working, we're not resting on our laurels because of this accomplishment. May mga loopholes pa rin, and then we enhance this to be able to address the futures.
Are you aware kung meron pang ibang potential spies po?
Let me answer this way, Attorney Karen. This could only be the tip of the iceberg.
So baka malalim na yung network?
Yes, definitely. Because if you look at the mode of payment for compensation, electronic transfer, GCash, meron ding live drop or dead drop. Meron ding delivery ng pagkain na naka-insert yung cash doon. Meron mag-iiwan ng bag o ng pera sa isang department store, yung pag-deposit mo ng gamit mo, o sa isang locker na public use. And then you get a text message, this locker number, yung susit nandirito, kukunin mo pagbukas mo, andun yung pera. So this speaks of a very wide and elaborate support system. Yung pagpapadala ng compensation is not the same, paiba-iba, para walang pattern.
At saka hindi matrace din. So,
Hindi
have you
matrace.
sought the help of the Anti-Money Laundering Council for this?
This is not only an AFP effort, this is an interagency effort. So, DND is aware of that, NEC is aware of that, and other government law enforcement agencies.
And considering you already have 3 of the suspects from na Filipinos that are spies, supposedly, meron na po bang mga ifa-file na kaso? Because we have Commonwealth Act 616 and the revised penal code, which also punishes this. And they can be facing imprisonment of up to 30 years. So are they already facing cases?
Yes, firstly, I'd like to say that itong tatlo na ito, we consider them closed cases. That's why we bring them out to the open, so the public may know and be aware. Secondly, I leave it up to our legal personalities in the AFP. Anong maging disposition nila? Thirdly, the NSC and DND has already been espousing since last year, 2 years ago, that we need a stronger law when it comes to espionage.
Oo, luma na po yung mga batas natin.
Yes, luma
so,
na,
baka kailangan
Attorney
na po
Karen.
i-update.
Yeah.
And the new technologies that are also involved, no?
I mean, this law was in what, 1941?
Yes, opo. Commonwealth Act pa nga po
Commonwealth
yung
Act
isa
to.
eh.
Yeah. So, technology
and
has
then the
evolved.
revised penal code, 1930s. Yeah.
30s.
Yeah.
The threat has evolved. Technology is now has leaps and bounds compared to 30s and 40s. So, kailangan ma-enhance yung law.
Okay. In terms of other types of internal threats po, napansin namin, this early March, nagkaroon ng heightened security around Malacanang. Meron pang mga barbed wire and meron ding military presence. Meron po bang naging threats of destabilization during this month?
Let me zoom out a little bit and look at maybe a 1 or 2 year period. When we speak of destabilization, these are acts that are sometimes, they're beyond the AFP actually. They could be political or economic. They could be informational. That are designed to put the government out of its normal mode of operation. Ika nga to destabilize. Every now and then, when the AFP is called upon, we are in a support role to the PNP, law enforcement. Every now and then, we also do our drills and rehearsals. So depending on the reports, nagdi-drill kami. Sometimes, even without the reports, we do our drills. What happened sa Malacanang was a normal drill na nagkataon na medyo charged yung political environment. So people would just connect the dots and say this is because of this or that. But these drills are a regular thing that we do. Not only with the PSC, Presidential Security Command, all units of the AFP, we have regular drills. So if people would start connecting the dots, they would say, give meaning to it. When in fact, it's just a normal activity for the AFP.
Okay. So wala naman palang naging threat during this
Wala
March?
naman, wala naman.
Oo. Okay, mapunta naman po tayo sa West Philippine Sea. Recently, China's ambassador claimed that there are talks with the Philippines about conducting joint patrols in the West Philippine Sea. But nag-post po si spokesperson Tariela. We saw, nag-post siya ng picture doon and he said, I am not aware about this. Are you also aware about this, potential talks for joint patrols in the West Philippine Sea?
Yes, let me first lay on the table the situation. Sinasabi ng ating good ambassador, si Jing Xuan, that may talks na 95% malapit na matapos, makumpleto. Sabi ng ating NMC spokesperson, si Yusek Lopez, and the Coast Guard spokesperson, si Admiral Tariela, they are not aware. I would say that coming from the AFP, the stand of the government is we will only engage like-minded nations. We will enhance our defense from the AFP and DND, our defense relations with partners or nations that have strategic alignment with us, especially in the West Philippine Sea. Secondly, the stand of the AFP and the Coast Guard is to continue our posture in the West Philippine Sea. The patrols will continue, our presence will continue, the air surveillance flights will continue. So, I don't know why the embassy gave a statement along that line, but the government stand is very clear, there are no such talks.
There are no such talks. Okay. So you also don't know kung ano yung intention, kung bakit nila linabas itong claim na to.
If we study the Chinese Communist Party war-fighting thought or doctrine, this is it's a textbook application. Say one thing, do another thing. While they say that they are the peaceful rise of China or talks with the Coast Guard, at the same time we see coercive and aggressive actions sa Baho de Masinloc o sa West Philippine Sea. So parating may kontra. We call that cognitive dissonance. Para yung perspective, yung perception ng mga tao, yung in their brain, in their mind, mag-away-away ang thoughts. Little wonder, ang Pilipino nag-away-away. That is part of the intent of the Chinese Communist Party. To infiltrate us and destroy us from within.
Okay. So kung ganon, ano po ang mga enhanced na ginagawa ng Pilipinas in order to prevent that? Yung internal fighting at saka yung tinatawag niyo pong dissonance.
We have been very strong in transparency, in awareness. The Commander-in-Chief mentioned not 1 square inch. He was the first Commander-in-Chief to say that we are now shifting to external defense orientation. The S&D mentioned about the CADC. The AFP has now reoriented itself. It's still a long way to go. But we are now looking at the bigger requirements of defense and security, which is external in orientation. Because of that, our systems, our processes have changed. Our modernization is there. And we are letting the people know ang totoong kalaban, which is existential and intergenerational. What do I mean by existential? Our existence as a country, baka matagpi-tagpi tayo pag mawala yung Calayan Island Group sa atin. It is intergenerational, mamanahin pa to ng next generation of Filipinos. Hindi ito matatapos sa atin. So we are very strong in letting the Filipinos know what the real situation is.
Ray Powell of Sea Light said that baka ang China might take advantage of the Middle East conflict and be more aggressive in the West Philippine Sea while the U.S. is preoccupied with Iran. Do you agree with this point of view?
I would like to approach that from the perspective of the war-fighting thought. Ano sinasabi ng war-fighting thought ng Chinese Communist Party? When the enemy advances, you retreat. When he retreats, you advance. Para silang tubig. From high to low ang flow. All warfare is based on deception. So if you analyze the war-fighting thought, it will not be difficult to say that this will be for them an opportunity, a window of opportunity to come in, to increase their coercive and aggressive actions, to have more consistent presence in Bajo de Masinloc, Sabina Shoal, and the other features. So when we understand how they act, then we could already more or less anticipate with the geopolitics in the Middle East. Some forces of the U.S. from Korea, from Japan have been sent to the Middle East. So we're prepared for any escalation or any changes that the Chinese Communist Party, through the PLA Navy, Coast Guard, or Maritime Militia, may do in the West Philippine Sea.
Considering po na merong ongoing conflict ang US with Iran, is there any truth to the possibility that the US might withdraw some of their hardware in EDCA sites because they might need it for Iran?
First and foremost, wala naman tayong deployment dito na operational. What came out in the news was the operational deployment of missile defense systems from Korea. Operationally deployed. What we have in country are forces for training and exercises. So these are different from those that are deployed operationally when you have the entire unit, either a battery or a squadron or the entire command. Sa atin, we only get bits and pieces of their forces. So there's no possibility na there will normal rotation of forces, normal changes, but to be shifted to the Middle East, hindi magagaling sa atin.
Hindi po manggagaling sa atin. So mostly sa EDCA sites natin, wala naman pong mga pagbabago.
Wala naman tayong permanently deployed na troops or forces sa EDCA sites na ganung kadami that will be needed sa Middle East. This would usually only surge during HADR or during exercises.
Okay. And dahil po tumataas ang presyo natin with the Middle East conflict, is this affecting our operations, our military operations? Binabawasan po ba yung pagpatrol sa West Philippine Sea? But before you answer this question, we'll have to take a short break. At the Forefront, we'll be right back. Welcome back at the Forefront. We continue our conversation with Rear Admiral Roy Vincent Trinidad. He's the Navy's spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea. Rear Admiral, ang haba po ng ano niya, title, no? Rear Admiral Roy.
Yeah.
Yung nangyari pong Middle East conflict ngayon has caused a spike in fuel prices. Has this affected our military operations? For example, binawasan po ba yung pagpatrol sa West Philippine Sea?
Definitely may impact ito sa AFP. But let us further look into operations and admin activities. So the changes are more felt in our admin activities, like normal day-to-day activities, consumption of coal, energy conservation, getting together for conferences, like the COVID times. So right now, we're just going back to utilizing technology more. Instead of face-to-face conferences, we do technology.
Mga Zoom meetings po.
Online, virtual meetings.
Yeah.
Yung ating mga admin conferences, as much as possible, o admin movements, carpooling. We bring them together. But for the operational, walang changes doon.
Hindi sinasacrifice yung operations.
Yes, there's no price for our sovereignty. Yung ating patrols by sea and by air, sa Baho de Masinloc, Northern Islands, and even sa West Philippine Sea, this will continue as program and as planned.
Ang question ko lang po, since nagka-problema tayo with spies, na-uncover nyo na po na may spies talaga, hindi po ba at risk yung mga confidential meetings if it's over Zoom? Hindi ba susceptible po yun to hacking?
Yes, definitely. We are susceptible to hacking, to infiltration, to co-optation or coercion. That's why the effort of the AFP right now is to strengthen the organization up to the individual level. Na dapat, this will all start with awareness. We are facing an adversary na ika nga, kumbaga sa usapang Tagalog, tuso ito eh. Iba ang sinasabi, iba ang ginagawa. It's all part of their statecraft, of the Chinese Communist Party. If we are aware of that, we will know how to better address yung mga moves nila, not only on the maritime domain, but even on land.
And sa pagka-patrol po natin sa West Philippine Sea or even military exercises, is the Philippines collaborating with other ASEAN countries for this purpose?
Yes, not only ASEAN countries. The Defense Department has been very strong in defense diplomacy. We now have enhanced defense relations with Japan, Australia, New Zealand, South Korea, Canada. In the works would be UK, France, Italy, etc. So yun ang direction natin. Also our ASEAN partners. We are looking at Vietnam and Indonesia. Considering that tayong tatlo ang may pinakamaraming OFWs sa Taiwan. Number 1 is Indonesia, number 2 Vietnam, number 3 the Philippines. In the event of any escalation in Taiwan, yung backflow ng OFWs, yung mga expats, mga Filipinos, OFWs, ang pinakamalapit doon would be the Babuyan Group of Islands or Batanes. So we're collaborating with them not only for the West Philippine Sea, but for other areas of potential conflict.
So ready po tayo kung sakaling magkaroon ng conflict. For us, a lot of people, I guess, had to face the reality na ang conflict pala talaga in the world is still imminent, no? Like what we saw with the Middle East conflict, at pwede kang madamay pagkatabi ka. So we have contingency plans kung sakali pong magkaroon ng conflict in our region.
Yes, Attorney Karen, the AFP thrives on contingency planning. Yung tinatawag natin what ifs. What if this would happen? What if ito ang mangyari na senaryo? Not only for the Middle East, this would include all areas na may mga OFWs. Sapagkat yung the third leg of our mandate, the first is sovereignty, the second is the territory, the third is the Filipino people. So we should be ready to look after their welfare wherever they are around the world.
At just last week po, yung Coast Guard deployed ships and aircrafts to Scarborough Shoal amid reports that Chinese vessels were harassing Filipino fishermen. Is this still ongoing right now?
Yes, the deployment, not the harassment.
Opo, oo.
Yung harassment every now and then, we could not foretell kung kailan mangyayari. But ang importante doon, the Coast Guard, BFAR, Air Force, the Navy, AFP, are there. Even without the harassment, may mga regular patrols tayo.
So ang mga fishermen po natin, nakakapag-fish na sila at least ngayon with all of these na dineploy?
Yes and no. Yes, sapagkat hindi naman permanente rin nandun yung PLA, Navy, Coast Guard, or Maritime Militia. And they could fish. No, there are times na hinaharas sila. Ito yung mga sinabi nyo kanina na the Coast Guard should be there, BFAR should be there, at yung kabilang side naman, yung adversary naman, they are scared pag na-publicize yung mga coercive and aggressive actions nila. So yung ating presence deters them from conducting coercive and aggressive actions.
Yung atin ito coalition said that they will conduct another civilian mission to the Pag-asa Islands this coming April. Will the Coast Guard escort them?
First and foremost, Atty. Karen, we welcome all support by civil society when it comes to strengthening our stand in the West Philippine Sea, Bajo de Masinloc and the Northern Islands. Secondly, sa hanay ng AFP, they coordinate with us, they inform us na may activity ng ganito. And thirdly, mas malapit, mas closer yung cooperation nila, coordination with the Coast Guard and with BFAR, sapagkat ito naman ay mga law enforcement agencies of government. So I believe may support ang Coast Guard, probably even escorting them.
Yung babalik po tayo sa pagtaas ng fuel prices, on the side of the armed forces, will you be providing free rides to commuters? Is this something that's already being discussed by the government?
I will have to get more concrete information on that, Atty. Karen. But hindi naman mahirap sa AFP yan, sapagkat every now and then, pag may mga transport strike, yung AFP naman handang tumulong, magbigay ng libreng sakay sa ating mga kababayan. Once again, yung ating operational activities will continue, not only sa West Philippine Sea, but even the security operations. There will be no downtrend in them. But for the admin activities, doon kami nagtitipid ng konti. On new free rides, yes, we're more than willing if so directed kung kinakailangan.
And finally, are there any discussions for contingency plans? Should there be a fuel shortage? I understand that sabi po ng Department of Energy merong enough supply up until end of April. But kung sakali pong magtuloy-tuloy ang conflict at gipit po tayo sa supply, meron po bang mga pinag-uusapang contingency plans like rationing at kung anong gagawin ng Pilipinas, lalo na since this is also essential for our defense systems, yung fuel?
Yes. In fact, yung ginagawa natin ngayon is already part of that. Kung saan tayo pwede magtipid, yung mga admin activities is already in effect right now. Yung ating 4-day work plan is already in effect without sacrificing yung mga operational requirements na pag kinakailangan andun lahat ng tropa, kasundaluhan, na andun tayo. So I believe that if that will escalate, it's not only a Philippine problem. It's an international problem. But the AFP is prepared to adjust accordingly.
Oo, at saka ang Pilipinas po ang isa sa pinaka-vulnerable dahil talagang import-dependent po tayo sa ating fuel.
Yes, which will actually, this might be the subject for another talk, Atty. Karen, yung importance ng Malampaya and Reed Bank.
Oo, kaya sinesecure nyo rin po yan.
Yes.
Para makapag-ano talaga tayo, maka-extract ng more natural gas.
Yes.
Okay, nga, that's for another episode. Dahil naubusan na tayong time, next time po yan ang pag-usapan natin.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Rear Admiral Roy Vincent Trinidad. Salamat.
You're welcome,
po.
Atty. Karen, and thank you for having me here this morning.
The complexity of the threats facing the Philippines today goes beyond our shores and within our own institutions. From the continuing tensions in the West Philippine Sea to the ripple effects of instability in the Middle East. As these challenges evolve, so too must our response, grounded in strategy and guided by a clear commitment to protect both our sovereignty and our people. Be informed, be insightful of the news. I'm Atty. Karen Jimeno. Always stay at the forefront.